In this lecture, I'm gonna show you how to create new files and directories. To create a new file in Linux, you have to use the touch command. We've already discussed it in a previous lecture, so now we'll just recap it quickly. The touch command takes as argument one or more files. If those files already exist, touch will update the file's timestamps to the current system time. But if the files do not exist, then touch will create them. Touch report.txt. Touch logs. Since the files didn't exist, touch has created them. If I run it again with the same files as arguments, then touch will set the file's timestamps to the current time. Let's see the timestamps. These are the file's timestamps. And I'm running the touch command again. Touch, the first file, and the second one. And stat report.txt and logs. See how it updated the A time, M time, and C time. Note that you can change A time and M time individually as well. See the previous lecture where I've gone deeper into this if you feel the need. And if you want to create a new file that contains a white space in its name, then put the whole name between double quotes. So touch in user's home directory, it's the current directory anyway, and between double quotes, learning Linux. This is the name of the file. It contains more white spaces. However, Linux is not recommended to have file names that contain white spaces. Use an underscore instead if you wish a more readable name. So a more appropriate name would be something like this. Much better. Also remember that in Linux, case matters. So a file called report.txt, which starts with a capital R, is a complete new file. Or touch report.txt. There are 3 files called report.txt in the current directory. Only the capitalization differs. It's important to note that the user executing this command must have enough permissions to create the file in the parent directory, or he will get a permission denied error. For example, I'm logged in as student, a non-privileged user, and if I try touch /etc abc, I've got a permission denied error. This non-privileged user is not allowed to create the file called abc in /etc. Let's move on and see how to create new directories using the mkdir command. Mkdir comes from make directory. This is the command, and its syntax is mkdir, some options, and some directories. Let's see an example. In the current working directory, I'm gonna create a directory called dir1. mkdir dir1. This is the new directory. In case you want mkdir to display some details about the operation it's performing, then add the -v option. -v comes from verbose. mkdir -v dir2. It has displayed this message and created the directory. And if you want to create more directories in one command, then give all directories you want to create as arguments. So mkdir dir3 dir1 /dir10, it means it will create a new directory called dir10 inside dir1, and /tmp tmp_dir, the third directory. In this example, I've created 3 directories at once. dir3, dir10 inside dir1 and another directory inside /tmp. Now, let's suppose I want to create a complete directory structure, and to do that I run mkdir, let's say first, second, third. So I want to create a new directory called first in the current directory, inside first another directory called second, and inside it a directory called third. Note that none of these directories exists. If I'm hitting enter, I'm getting an error. Cannot create a directory, no such file or directory. Maybe it's weird, but mkdir wanted to create the directories from right to left. So when it wanted to create the directory called third, this one, it noticed that its parent directory called second didn't exist. To solve this issue, just add the -p option, which comes from parents, and it will make the parent directories as needed. I'm adding the -p option between the command name and its arguments. And it has created all three directories. See how they look like. -p option is also good when the directory already exists and you don't want an error. In this example, there's already a directory called dir1 in the current working directory. I've just created it. If I try to make it again, I'll get an error. mkdir dir1. Cannot create directory, dir1, file exists. Remember that a directory is a special type of file. But if I add the -p option, there will be no error. Okay, that's all about creating files and directories. Thank you.